Hello, everyone. My name is Jack Gilmore, PDGA 9587. On Saturday, I was to attend induction ceremony into the Iowa Disc Golf Hall of Fame. It was held after the second round on Saturday of the True Bank DesMoines Disc Golf Challenge. Well, there was a good crowd there. It was outside and everything. And I kind of backed out of it. It's something I will kind of regret for a long time. I thought I had too much to say. Maybe people weren't going to be interested in it. And it's going to be a regret for me. I should have done it. And I wish I had done it. Anyway, I thought to ameliorate that a little bit, I would make this video. But, well, it might help if I actually try to put on tape what I was going to say. And I had the speech ready, my acceptance speech ready in my back pocket. Just kind of chickened out. So anyway, that's why I'm doing this. I brought some notes with me to try to stay on track. First of all, I have to say it's an amazing honor to be inducted into the Iowa Disc Golf Hall of Fame. I look around at the members that are there, the people that are already members of the club, and I see, tournament directors, course designers, course builders, educators, people who have been in disc golf for years, a lot longer than I have been, some of them. I can imagine how this selection of candidates happened. I kind of think of it sort of humorously. I can imagine the members standing around a barrel of potential candidates and wondering, well, who are we going to induct this year? Chris Claring, he's a shoe-in. Chris has been doing tournaments for a long time, been around a long time, great disc golfer, right in the Des Moines area. And they're picking through the various possibilities. And maybe in a few years, toss it out. I don't know, possibly. We'll see. And they're looking around this barrel and it's getting pretty empty. And you look down the bottom and they say, what's that? Yeah, let's dig that out of there, see what it is. They pull it up and they look at it and they say, Gilmore? Jack Gilmore? Is he still kicking? Yeah, I've seen him around. I don't know. Do you think he has the qualifications? Yeah, they page through some of my stuff and they say, minimally, I think. I think if nobody looks too close, we can squeeze him in. Well, anyway, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. I am more than happy to accept the nomination in this elite club. But I feel like I'm here primarily because of my addiction to this sport for 30 years and just my longevity. Been around a long time. Now, I would like to mention a few people that come to mind as prominent in Iowa disc golf. Number one here is Jeff Harper. Jeff has been around a long time. He's got a 4-digit number, a PDGA number that's lower than mine. So Jeff was actually kind of one of my mentors in the early days. If you want to get anything done in disc golf, you go see Jeff Harper. He is definitely known throughout eastern Iowa, probably known very well throughout the state and even the country. Jeff is a doer. He knows how to organize things. He probably had almost everything to do with organizing the ceremony at Big Grove. He will talk to city planners and park superintendents and present his case and get approvals and get things done. So Jeff is like a pillar in Iowa disc golf. Now, he's also a top-notch disc golfer. I suspect his closet is full of trophies. His wall's probably festooned with all kinds of awards. I just saw that he got an award not too long ago as being a contributor to the Disc Golf Museum, and I think it's in Augusta, Georgia. So anyway, Jeff, I definitely need to keep, mention him. And then there is, of course, a couple of renowned world women champions, Des Redding and Juliana Korver. Back in the old days, and I'm talking like back in the 90s, maybe the early 2000s, I would go to a tournament, just go to a tournament and sign up. Same with everybody else. There weren't that many disc golfers. And one of the things that happened was that the older guys like me, there weren't that many. There were not enough to make a card out of those guys. So, and there weren't that many women. So they would put the women and the older guys together on one card. Now, the older guys didn't have a lot to complain about when it came to that. I don't know about the ladies. Hopefully they did. Who else do I have on this list? Well, I have Chris Sprague. If you want to be a nicer guy in disc golf, you're going to have to look a long ways to find somebody better than Chris Sprague. He is an icon in Iowa disc golf. Been around forever, seems like. I don't know. I see him, he plays a lot of tournaments, friendliest guy on the planet. He makes some amazing disc golf shots. I just saw that he finished, I think, 8th in the Tim Zielinski Masters out in Oregon. Now, 8th place, not bad at all, considering the competition that must have been there. But I guess what impressed me most was his final round. He finished with a 10:40 round. That's amazing. I don't know if I ever shot a 10:50 or a 9:50 round in my lifetime. So 10:40 is just truly amazing. I did see another video that he posted. He was down in Florida playing with the king, Kenny Climo, and some of his friends down there. That just goes to show you who Chris is. Great guy. We're glad to have him. And then there's another guy here I want to mention. That would be Philo Braithwaite. Braithwaite. That's a tough one for me to keep in mind. I see Philo on instructional videos on the internet. I see him commentating disc golf tournaments. A lot of times he's commenting on the lead card. And I never met Philo. And come find out, he lives right in this area too. He's in, I think it was Windsor Heights, which is probably part of Des Moines. I'm not sure exactly where it is. I'd like to meet Philo sometime. Then there's another guy I really didn't know much about, Gavin Babcock. Gavin is an amazing player. I haven't watched that much of what he does, but I did see him on a lead card not that long ago. And he was right up there battling with the top players in the world. And I think he lives right here in Iowa, Altoona, if I remember right. And there's another one, a gal I met a few years back. She hasn't been in the business that long. Sarah Gilpin. She's out of Solon, Iowa, which is northeast of Iowa City. I played a few rounds with Sarah, hell of a disc golfer. I told her that I had played with a couple of women years ago that turned out to be world champions. And I thought that she had the makings of that caliber. I see, like in 2022, she became a world champion putter. So good for you, Sarah. Then there's another guy, Ben Calloway. Now, Ben Calloway lives over in Davenport, I think. Ben is has probably the best disc golf form I have ever seen, and he works at it very diligently. I think he's had a bit of bad luck, and hasn't really made the total top grade cards. He's been on lead cards, I'm sure, a few times. But anyway, I look for a lot more great things out of Ben. And then, who can not mention the latest prodigy out of Iowa, out of Urbandale, Iowa, pops Gannon Burr. Gannon Burr. He must be close to 7 foot tall. I think he probably has arms and legs to match that height. I call them giant levers. He can crank that disc a mile. He's an awesome putter. Putts, he says he practiced putts from 30 feet all the time. And boy, he is up and coming and has already made quite a bit of money in the sport. He hasn't been in it that long. I think he was a junior world champion. But you see him on Top Card a lot. Now, I'm thinking, wow, Gannon, he's probably out there thinking, this is a great life. I just made 84 grand last year hanging out with my buddies, doing what I love. And I expect him to go over 100 grand this year. So you keep riding that. He's such a nice guy, too, and he's got a good comport about him. I would have made a fool out of myself, I'm sure, if I'd been playing when I was 17 years old. But Gannon, he holds his own very well. So I just told Gannon to keep riding that pony, boy. You're doing great. We love you here in Iowa. I have a lot of people come up to me, and they're absolutely sure that I know them, the face. I know the tournament we were in, or the card we played on, where we were. And that just is not the case most of the time, I'm afraid. I have met a lot of people in my disc golf career. So, I take all this disc golf information in along with what everybody, like everybody else, politics and everything else that's going on in your life. It just goes in one ear and kind of rattles around inside your noggin, may stick here and there, and then just kind of drains out the other side like Rudy Giuliani's hair dye. And then just sort of evaporates into space and it's gone. So if you draw a blank look from me and come up and you're pretty sure you know me and I'm going to know you, just remember the chances are I probably won't. But I invite you to run it through me again. Maybe it'll stick. At least we can relive what you have imagined the experience was. And in that regard, I would say I would just like to kind of issue a blanket apology to all those people that are sure that I know them and they just draw a blank for me. So there it is. Hope it works better next time. My beginnings. Well, I was born in 1942, spring of 42. World War II started, at least for this country, with the Japanese invasion of Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. So we're about 6 months started into the war, and I pop onto the scene. I'm kind of a war baby, I guess. Actually, I am about 6 months older than President Biden. Imagine that. Anyway, my dad goes off to war, probably fought in France and Czechoslovakia, Poland, maybe. I don't really know. He never really wanted to talk about it, and I suppose to my regret, I never really queried him on it that much. So I'd give you kind of a life tip. If your parents are still living, try to get them to write down some of their history. Um, with today's technology, you could even record it like I'm recording this on a cell phone. And one of the things I started doing that just because I thought, well, maybe my kids or grandkids, if I have any, will want to know a little bit about my history, what I know about my parents' history and that sort of thing. So what I did was I started thinking about the cars that I've owned in my lifetime. I've probably had 20 or more cars, trucks, motorcycles. And every one of those I think about driving those in the time, they bring back memories of what I was doing then, what was important in my life, what are the little instances that I remember. So I write those down. Anyway, that's a tip for you. I would suggest you do it. If you don't do it, you're going to regret it later in your life. What about my entrance into the flying disc world? I would have to credit that to my dog, Joe. Joe was a mixed lab, and he was a Frisbee fanatic. We started, playing catch. Of course, he was doing the catching, I was doing the throwing, but he was a real enthusiast. I'd get back after work, and we had sort of a time that we might go out and throw if the weather was decent. I would store my whammo up where he couldn't reach it. He'd sit there on the floor, look at that thing, look at me, and say, it's time that we get out there and start throwing this. So he's an instigator for my love of the Frisbee. And then in the late 70s, I moved out to Washington State, lived in the Tacoma area. I had an old high school buddy that lived out there, and we started playing catch. We just kind of did it for exercise and just for fun. We both loved to throw Frisbee. And one of the things we came up with was this variation on the game of catch. We would take like a 141, I think it was, whammo, and a 97 gram whammo, and which was a little smaller. And those things would nest together like Russian dolls. And if you nested them together and threw them, particularly sidearm, get a lot of spin on them, they would stay together. Maybe you could throw 75 feet or something like that. Enough spin, they'd stay together. But fun part is when they came apart, because then you could get these incredible two-hand catches. So if you're still doing that kind of thing, probably and love a little Frisbee warm-up, I'd suggest you try that. It's a new twist, I think, to the game. I don't know if anybody else does it or not, but we had a lot of fun with it. I would suggest that you give it a try. Well, after living out in Tacoma, and I was out there in 1980 when Mount St. Helens blew its top off. But then later in the mid to late 80s, moved back to DesMoines, and then back to Iowa City. Excuse me. Then back to Iowa City. And it was kind of a dry period in there. I didn't really throw a lot of Frisbee. I wasn't familiar with disc golf at that point. So as it happened, one day, family had a picnic out at Turkey Creek. And Turkey Creek is the site of a disc golf course in Iowa. One of the very first ones, I believe, that were ever put in. It's on Corps of Engineers property, close to where I live, on Coralville Lake Reservoir. So we're out there picnicking, and I noticed that there's some guys playing this weird game, throwing discs at baskets. And I go over and talk to them, and saying, wow, what's going on here? And oh, this is disc golf. I said, well, but it said, well, could I join you and play a little bit? Yeah, I just happened to have my whammo in the car, got that, joined up, and that was sort of my initiation to disc golf. And I think my addiction really started there. Um, After that, I purchased some discs, started going out on my own, throwing what courses I could find in the area, seeing if I could involve other friends. Nobody was particularly interested, but I wanted more information on it. So I had heard about the PDGA, and I emailed Dan Roddick. He's better known as Stork, PDGA number 003. Well, I wrote to Dan for some information, and he emailed me back, which I thought was pretty funny, that we don't spell disc golf with a K. This shows you how green I was to the sport at that stage. I played on like that for a while, tried to get better, and eventually stumbled onto Disc Golf League in Cedar Rapids, which was 25 miles north of where I was living. And I think at that time, Doug Payton, one of our Iowa Hall of Famers, was running the league. And when I was there, I met up with a lot of people that were disc golfers. Actually, some of them were getting a little closer to my age, maybe 10, 15 years my junior. But we sort of started playing together and making friends. And we started meeting on weekends, stuff, go to play different courses around the area. And that went on for a while. And one of the places that we went to was Wildcat Bluff Recreation Area. We go up there on weekends, set up camp, and we had some fold up baskets, or we'd hang a garbage can lid in a tree or whatever to make a good target. We started making up our own little courses up there. Well, that continued for a while, and eventually kind of got permission to extend it into the woods on some old trails. And one of the guys, Steve Hepker, is an excellent metal fabricator and welder, started making the baskets. And I think he eventually made all the baskets for the whole course out there. And they weren't crummy little homemade baskets. They were comparable to the commercial stuff you could buy. He had a powder coated. They were beautiful baskets. So I credit Steve a lot with getting that going. The members of the crew themselves, they have worked on that course forever, and they just keep improving it. One of the guys kind of volunteered to be my caddy, I guess you'd say. He went to me to world's tournaments, and his name's Kelly Williams. Great guy, great planner. He's a detail person. We'll plan a week, maybe part of the crew, to go out and play courses around other states, the bordering states. Kelly, he'll figure out what are the best courses we should play, the itinerary, where we should be staying, because they have great breakfasts and great rooms. And Kelly is much appreciated, as nobody else really wants to do that. But Kelly is a good person for that. Well, as you know, Wildcat Bluff Disc Golf Course has developed over the years. I think it was actually initiated as a real course in 2007. Since then, it has just been improved year after year after year. Last year, UDisc had it rated at 17 in the world. Now, Iowa has some 350 courses, and there are probably 4,000 in the world. So to be rated 17 in the world is quite an amazing thing. Even today now, with a lot of new courses that have been built, that Wildcat Bluff course is rated in the top 100. It's a free-to-play course, so we do have a donation post there. So if you play that course, donations are always appreciated, since it does cost money to keep these things going. Let's see here. I happen to be a member of the Wildcat crew. They don't get a whole lot of physical work out of me. I dabble in the artwork, I guess, a little bit, do some of their tournament discs for them, but I think I'm mainly there as inspiration, an inspirational member. One of the things I've tried, I've always tried to do some things that are notable or worthwhile in disc golf in general, without a whole lot of success, but I have fun at it. A couple of things I'd like to show you. In the early days, and this was 2007, I started trying to turn in artwork for their Ace Clubs and PDGA member discs, and that sort of Ace Clubs and Birdie Clubs. That's one of them. Here's another one that I did in 2008 for the Birdie Club. Nothing great, but it's there anyway. And here's one I did in 2009. Kind of a crazy one. Probably a real collector's item, because it's so strange. So anyway, those are the kind of things I like to do. Now they've got, real artists that can do this stuff. And they wouldn't even look at my stuff anymore, which is okay. But I got in the early days, so I'm good with that. So what captivates me, or why am I captivated, I just should say, by disc golf? Why have I been addicted to this game, this sport, for so many years, like 30 years? I think when you get right down to fundamentals, I just like to see these things fly. I love to see a Frisbee fly. I like to throw a good shot myself, and I just enjoy the flight physics of the thing. I always say that a disc golf will land exactly where you throw it every time. There are, of course, people that disagree with me on that. I think there's some sort of karma involved, and a lot of times they'll reprimand me for nicing a disc that ultimately goes bad. I have a hard time believing that karma is a key element in that. Excuse me. I do recall one experience I had, and I almost started to believe in karma. In the early days, I was out practicing, had 5 drivers with me, and I was 250 feet away from a basket. I threw those all from 250 feet. I hit metal on 2 of them and threw the other 3 in the basket. I was pretty much freaked out by that. And of course, that's never happened again. And it's pretty rare that I will hit an ace. Actually, I don't think I've hit an ace in about 5 years. Excuse me. I sort of like that disc golf is an individual effort. You can put as much work into it as you want. Try to get it as good as you can. And it's not that I don't like team sports. I love team sports, but I sort of appreciate the individuality of disc golf. Excuse me, I got something going. I never paid a whole lot of attention to other disc golfers and their form. Just sort of seemed to come natural, I think, after throwing Frisbee. Nowadays, you can go out on the internet and you can find instructional videos on virtually any aspect of the game. I see them and I look at them and it could work. I think I might give that a try. So I went a couple months ago. It was going to add distance to my drive. So I tried. Sure enough, it put on another 20, 30 feet. I unfortunately, I started trying it, but it had a little was detrimental to my accuracy. I was spraying them all over the place with that. Like I said, I've been playing 30 years, and one thing you can say about playing 30 years, you set in a lot of muscle memory. It's hard to get off some of those habits that you've had for years. I don't know if I could ever spin on my heel on a drive. But and then there's C1 putting. Of course, you got to maintain your balance in C1 putting. But when you get to be 75, 80 years old, maintaining balance is kind of a tough thing to do. Fortunately, the guys I play with, they'll call me on it, but they'll never actually penalize me for it. So that's always appreciated. Another thing about disc golf is it gets you out in the natural world. We're kind of losing track of our evolutionary history. We were probably forest animals. And nowadays, of course, everything is in-house, in buildings, all electronic. So getting out in the real world is a thing that I think is really valuable. Disc golf can be played all year round, and we do play it all year round. Rain, snow, wind, heat, cold, a lot of conditions like that you're not going to experience unless you get out and do it. And disc golf is a great way to do it. I think that's especially important for kids. If you've got kids, try to get them away from those cell phones and video games. Get them out in the real world. Another thing I like about disc golf, and I think it's sort of unique to the sport, is that it's such a low-cost sport. You can go out and play with one or two discs and have a good time. Now, excuse me, all the disc golfers I know would be happy to part with some of their discs if they found a novice that was interested in really pursuing the sport. And, most of us probably have over 100 discs. I bet the disc manufacturers love that. A lot of them we've either set aside and just never throw again in lieu of something new. And a lot of them we get and we just never throw them. So, I got a dog barking in the background, so I hope that doesn't bother you. Anyway, it's a low-cost sport. And what does that actually mean? You think of it in comparison to ball golf. Well, if I wanted to get as good in ball golf as I think I have gotten in disc golf through a career, and I used to be a lot better, I'd have to spend probably $500 a month just to get out there and do it and improve your skills. So that's pretty different than ball golf. Another thing I want to mention is about disc golf is, excuse me again, it's the camaraderie aspect of it. You're going to meet probably the best friends in your life out there, others that appreciate what you're doing, love the sport. Some of you will even take it all the way, like a few of our members in the Iowa Disc Golf Hall of Fame, specifically Des, Allison, specifically Des and Juliana, Allison, have found their lifelong loves, and get married with other disc golfers. So there's that aspect. And you, of course, going to develop friends that are going to be lifelong friends. So that's a really important aspect of the game. And kind of closing here, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude to my wife, Judy. Judy has had unwavering support for my addiction to disc golf for years now. So kudos to her. She keeps me well fed, and as you can see, well fed. I'm also immensely grateful to the Wildcat Bluff crew, whose efforts and encouragement have kept me engaged in the sport for years now. So thanks a lot to the Wildcat crew. I would like to extend my thanks to the members of the Iowa Disc Golf Hall of Fame for considering me and actually voting me into this elite group. Even though I'm not sure I deserve it, I'm here now, so thanks a lot. Thank you for taking time to listen to this diatribe. And as the Little Wing Disc Golf Clubbers would say in Indiana, in tribute to Jimi Hendrix, fly on.